Hello. I am sure we are all glad to know that not only is the army well supplied with soldiers, but also well supplied with medical staff. Well, we must be, because they're sacking medical staff left, right and centre for, well, passing Facebook posts along. All right, well, before I tell you all about that, I'll tell you that I'm Granniopteryx on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know when I've uploaded a new video on Gab and Twitter. So if you subscribe to one of those, you'll be sure to find out about new uploads. All the links are in the description. Also the links to donation sites if you feel like using them. But even if you don't, please like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel. If you're on YouTube, check you are still subscribed. Okay, here, it says here, Colonel forced out of army after stating men cannot be women. That's interesting. You see, he's a doctor. I think maybe doctors might have some training in that area. Okay, Kelvin Wright says he had to resign following warning from junior officer. So even a junior officer, I don't know what that means, but it looks to me like it means a subordinate of his actually told him off and possibly reported him that his views could be at odds with the Ministry of Defence transgender policy. Well, if they are at odds with the transgender policy, then it's the Ministry of Defence that's got the wrong end of the stick. A colonel has claimed he was forced to quit after he was criticised for stating that men cannot be women. I think this is the Facebook post that he shared. And in May, he shared a post on his private Facebook account from Fair Play for Women, a campaign group that works with governing bodies to preserve women's sport for those born female, which consists of a quote from Helen Joyce, a feminist campaigner backed by the author J.K. Rowling. Now let's have a look at this. J.K. Rowling, just for your information, J.K. Rowling says same-sex toilets sacrifice girls' dignity after Essex school calls in police. Why did the Essex school call in police, you might ask? And I shall tell you, because a girl was sexually assaulted in a shared lavatory facility. That is, it was for boys and girls because, you know, we can't make any difference between them. And anyway, some of the boys are girls. So to save any problems, you just have same-sex lavatories. And a girl was assaulted in one of these places. They're hidden. They're away from the public view. They're full of lots of doors, closed doors and that sort of thing. Obviously, if there is a school boy of bad intention, that's the place to use for bad behaviour. It says here, after revelations by the Telegraph, good old Telegraph, it seems to be the only newspaper doing any work recently, that a teenage boy has been arrested over allegations of serious sexual assaults in a mixed-set laboratory. Oh, assaults, plural. Oh, it looks like this kid had found an interesting occupation there. It wasn't just one little slip. You know, like, for instance, they're in the toilet and the girl, they're in the washing area of the lavatory and the boy just happens to drop the soap and bends down and then happens to look up the girl's skirt. No, it wasn't an accident like that. It sounds like he's been making a habit of this, according to this article. And J.K. Rowling says, such attacks were entirely foreseeable and preventable. Ms. Rowling, I do have to point something out to you. They are foreseeable only if you have any sense in your head. But if you don't have any sense, of course, it's not foreseeable. Girls' safety, privacy and dignity is being sacrificed to an incoherent ideology pushed by lobby groups. Oh, good for you, Ms. Rowling. Okay, it came after Essex police were called in to investigate 4 allegations of serious sexual assault at a local school. It's understood that 3 of the attacks allegedly took place in toilets shared by boys and girls. All right, let's get back to Dr. Kelvin Wright. He didn't make any comment, he just shared this post. If women cannot stand in a public place and say men cannot be women, then we do not have women's rights at all. I just want to point out, there are the original old-fashioned type of transgender men who have been made physically to resemble women, live as women, act as women, don't assault anybody. Nobody knows that they've actually changed sex or rather gender identity, because they just get on with their lives. But that's not the sort of people that Ms. Rowling or Helen Joyce is talking about. Okay, this prompted a junior officer to warn him that his gender-critical views could be at odds with the MOD transgender policies, before what Dr. Wright calls the Army's LGBT champions allegedly drew up a 7-page dossier about his substandard behaviour, which he was not allowed to see. You know, that's Jonathan, what was his name? Jonathan Kay, I can't remember anymore. Anyway, the guy in The Trial by Kafka, where he was charged with some unnamed offence. He had no idea what it was all about, and he ended up getting shot, and he still didn't know what he'd done wrong. A formal army investigation was opened in May. I mean, the expense of it. Do they have nothing better to do? Our troops are supposed to be undersupplied right now, undersupplied with men and equipment and facilities. And they open a formal army investigation because one of their doctors agrees with the idea that men cannot be women. Anyway, they opened an investigation that could have led to him being formally dismissed under the major administrative action process, and he'd been asked to make a statement. So this Dr. Wright, an obvious reprobate, led a team of 60 troops in 306 Hospital Support Regiment alongside working as an NHS intensive care consultant. Oh, you know, I mean, we don't need people like this in our society, do we? He felt forced to retire 6 years earlier than planned, slashing his total army pension in the process. So, you know, they just, the punishment was the process, not any ruling they made. They just made life so difficult for him and stressful. And he is an NHS intensive care consultant, as if he doesn't have enough stress to handle. He's being supported by the Free Speech Union. I'm going to make a video about what's happened to the Free Speech Union as well, because it looks like the machine, to borrow Dave Rubin's expression, is trying to crush that too, but not here. Anyway, the Free Speech Union, which has appointed an employment barrister to defend him as the investigation is still ongoing. So he's retired, but they're still, snapping at his heels. I used the word wolves in another video. Jackals is more the word here, snapping at a wounded animal's heels. So that's the image that came to my mind. This attack on my honour made my position completely untenable. I could no longer remain in an army which treated its officers with such disrespect. After all, the army doesn't need people like him, does it? People who give up their time to heal men who've been wounded in battle, as well as healing people who've been wounded by being bumped into by bicycles on our roads. And, well, we don't need him, do we? We can insult him, we can tell him that his views are worthless. I mean, he's only a doctor. What does he know about the difference between men and women? He's not a biologist after all. What message does it send to women in the army that merely for noting the existence of women and women's rights, even a colonel can be placed under investigation? I therefore feel there is no other choice but to make this matter public. Yeah, you have my admiration, Dr. Wright. And then he says, it makes you wonder who is running the army, the Chief of the Defence Staff or Stonewall? Well, I can answer you that, Dr. Wright. It's not the Chief of the Defence Staff, is it now? That should be obvious to anyone. Okay, well, good luck with your case. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.